You're listening to the Chronicles of Living podcast, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. Now let's talk.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop on the road of life. You can't stop. You can't stop moving. Keep move. Keep that pace. You switching to gear. Let's go as we climb up the hill. Don't slow down. Pedal a little more. The mind is working. It's in control. Your wheels are turning a little more. Going higher another notch. Keep it steady, don't watch the clock. Go round, cycle.
Greetings, my visionary dreamers. How is everybody doing on this Father's Day Sunday? This is Adionne, and you are listening to the Chronicles of Livin podcast show.
We are learning, always turning later. Cannot stop the time. Always merging into lanes that better suit us as we ride. Switch it up. Switching to gear, let's go. As we climb up the hill, don't slow down. Pedal a little more. The mind is working, it's in control. Your wheels are turning a little more. Going higher another notch. Keep it steady, don't watch the clock. Go round, cycle.
Yes, this is Chronicles of Living podcast show, the show for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. You know, us extraordinary folk doing the damn thing the best way we can. And today is Father's Day. And so it's only natural that I make the topic about fathers. And today's topic is a father's presence can make the difference. A father's presence can make the difference. And today I am recording from my laptop, and it's been a long time, so I'm trying to adjust myself to the way it's coming out in my earphones, so bear with me. But yes, let's talk about it. You know, fathers. And in my description, I put real fathers, and that's not to take any shots at anybody. And what I'm hoping is that after the show, if you are a father that's listening and you haven't been playing your role to the extent that you know you should have or you should be, that this will inspire you. The show will inspire you to turn a new leaf today, starting today. So yeah, fathers, I just want to definitely shout out the real fathers and give a nice round of applause to the real fathers out there. And maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should have did this for mothers too, because unfortunately, there are mothers out there that's not playing their part, to the fullness that they know they should be. So that goes both ways. But today we're talking about fathers, okay? So, yes, what I mean by a father's presence can make the difference is that, you think about the beginning of when you found out as a father that you had a child on the way. Now, sometimes it was planned and sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was so unplanned that you were in shock. But nevertheless, you should be proud that you were able or are able to be a part of such a huge blessing, bringing a beautiful creation of your own into this world, a creation that you have the ability, the power, the, presence, it's just so many words I can use, but you have the power to help this little human being be all that they can be more than you are, make a difference in the world the way you wish you could have. You have that power to guide this little person on the right path and share shortcuts that you wish you could have taken, And when I say shortcuts, I don't mean, cheat in life in any way. What I'm saying is, the different mistakes or failures that you have to go through. That's what I mean by giving your little person that guidance so that they won't bump their head, or they'll know how to treat a young lady, and a woman even better than you do. There are so many things, and I'm not just talking about, as far as your son, but your daughter. You have the ability as a man, as a father, to teach your daughter her worth. Teach her that she's valuable from the very beginning. Just the way you display your love, your attention, your guidance. You have that power. See, a lot of times, we as people, we look at the mother, and yes, none of us would not exist without a mother because they're the ones that have to birth us. But you as a father are a huge part of that creation, because without you, well, I have to correct that now, because with this whole technology, you actually can have a baby without a mother or a father. I probably need to go back and correct my mother's show. With all this technology, you can have a whole different person holding, the sperm and the egg from two people. But nevertheless, you have that power to make a difference, to give a little lady something that the mother can't, to give that little man, that little boy, something that us as mothers can't. We can give them the love, the affection, the attention. We can wipe their little boo-boos and tell them that they're going to be all right. But that validation for a young man is so important. Growing up, feeling lost, going through puberty, might have said it wrong, but you have that power. That is a powerful source to give to a young man. And if you've been listening, I have a son, and I'm a single mother. And when I look at the fact that I know so many single mothers, some of them has a connection with their kid's father where they're in their kid's life. And some of them are just like me, where their kid hasn't seen their father in years, probably wouldn't even know him if they walked down the street. That's not a great thing, you know? And so this is why I applaud the real fathers. And I just want y'all to know that what you're doing is really to be expected. You're not special. We all are special, but you're not special. You're just doing what you're supposed to do. But I just want to confirm just how valuable that is, because there are so many men out here that's not doing what they're supposed to do. And what I mean by how a father's presence can make a difference, when I say father, I also mean stepfather, godfather, just different mentors, men that stand in a gap and take on that father role. How your presence can make a difference. So my grandson, and I know I like to tell little stories in between to, tie everything in. I just think about my grandson, my daughter, she was a single mother for a good while. And now her fiance, he's standing in the gap for her 2 kids. And she has a son and a daughter. And she shared with me how my grandson had this assignment or this picture that he was supposed to draw in school. And what he chose to draw was this family. And the teacher asked him, what would he change about his family? And he said, nothing, because now I have a dad. That is powerful. He's 5 years old. And this is what he's saying at 5 years old. His dad, his biological dad, is not there. He doesn't show up. You see him here and there. He want to pop in here and there. But his soon-to-be stepdad has shown him consistency. And therefore, he feels safe enough to call him dad and to feel like he wouldn't change anything in his family because now he has a dad. And this is all young kids want. They just want the presence, the consistency, You might not be able to live in the household, but as long as you show up, you might not be able to show up every day, but as long as you pick up the cell phone and instead of paying attention to Facebook and all of that, call your children and say, hi, I'm thinking about you. I love you. Little things like that makes a huge difference, My son, he hasn't had a consistent man in his life. I chose to pretty much be single majority of his life. Some because, relationships didn't work out. But nevertheless, he had a godfather, And even though he doesn't see his godfather much now since he's grown up, those younger years of his godfather being there and being available made a difference, The time that they spent together, him teaching them about computers and teaching them about video games, it made a difference. It helped his confidence in some way. Just knowing that he has somebody that he can call on, somebody that he can text from time to time. And he also has uncles, you know, two uncles that he could look at and see the example of what a man is, what a father is, you know, the different little talks that he had with his uncles, little private talks that he was like, that's between us. I felt good that he was able to say, that's between us, because that made him feel like at a point he had a bond with his uncles through conversation, and he felt good about it. I could remember one of his uncles coming down all the way from Pittsburgh to come to his, he was on a National Honor Society, and he did a speech on leadership. My son did. And my brother drove about 7 hours from Pittsburgh, brought my nephew, and came to just, for that couple of hours, be present and stand in the gap and give him that support that he, you know, I'm sure that, not that he needed, but that he embraced and that he desired. I'll say it that way. And it really, I could tell by the look on my son's face, seeing my brother sitting there smiling, and the fact that he had a tie, and my brother took the time out to show him how to tie his tie before he went up to speak on a platform, on a podium. And then when he finished his speech, my brother was right there to praise him and to tell him what a good job he did. That made my son just glow, you know? So I say, it makes a difference just to show up and keep showing up. And for those who are showing up constantly and being consistent, keep it up. Because see, this is the thing. These kids are the future. And sometimes when they're lacking in a certain area, when they have a certain void in their later years, it comes out in different ways. And sometimes it's not so great, because sometimes because of that void of having a father or a man to stand in a gap and, you know, act as a father figure, show him what a man is, it doesn't play out so great, because they're looking for other ways to fill their void. And now I don't want to just say young men, but young women too. Young men might look to the streets to fill their void, because they feel like those guys in the streets, the older men in the streets, that's the only father figure that they can relate to, because they're consistent with them. They know they can count on them to be outside or to be, you know, wherever the hangout is, or at the basketball court, wherever. It's a consistency. They know where to go to connect. And that's not to say that every man that's out on the street are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, you have the power to set examples, you know, to let these young men know that that's not the way to go. And even if you are on the streets and you see a young man that doesn't have a dad, don't take advantage of that. Make sure that you talk to them in a way to let them see that they have a chance at life. They have a chance to do something great. And just because they don't have a father in their life doesn't mean that they can't go on to be one of the best men that this world will ever see. The same thing with young women. Men out here, if you know a young lady doesn't have a father in their lives, don't take advantage of that. Just because she might not know her worth because she didn't have that man to show her that growing up, that man to love her. And so now she's looking for a man in the wrong way, you know? And I know this is what I'm talking about is very widespread, but this is how powerful a man's presence, a father's presence, from my observation, is. It makes a difference. And I can say it made a difference for me because the father that I had in my life was my grandpa. My father was in and out of my life. But at least I can say my father did teach me the value of making a man respect you. Little things like make sure that they open up the car door for you. Make sure they, walk on a certain side of the street. Little things like that. It might not have been much, but him saying that to me let me know that you are valuable and don't accept less. Little things, that moment that I was in his presence, I remember that. But my grandpa was the rock. He was the one who was always present, that was consistent. And because of his presence in my life, his time that he took out for me, it filled the void, in some ways. It might not have filled the void all the way, but it filled the void in a lot of ways because I was able to look at, this is what a father looks like. This is what a man looks like. So therefore, I was able to take those notes and raise my son on my own. Teach him the things that I learned from my grandpa being present in my life. And this is what I mean by being present makes the difference. Sometimes I've noticed, some men don't show up because they feel like they can't give the kids, certain things that they would like to give them because they might not have the money that they want. Or if the kid is asking for a certain thing. Well, I'm here to tell you that at the end of the day, that kid, that teenager, that young man, that young woman would rather have your presence. They might say they want the money, the gift, or whatever like that, but you as a man have to sit down and let them know, listen, I don't have it like that. But what I do have is time. And I would love to spend time with you. And I guarantee you, if you sat your child down and said that to them, they would feel that. They would respect it and they would accept it. But you as a man, I'm talking in general. I'm not talking to each and every last one. I'm talking to the people or the men that each thing that I'm saying applies to. So you as a man have to man up and stop running away. This is for somebody. Stop running away and making excuses as to why you can't be present. You will appreciate yourself more once you make up in your mind that you are going to be present in your kid's life. Now, I'm talking in general. Y'all know I try to hit on every situation that I can think of in one show. So if you having baby mama drama, and that's a big thing, and I'm here to say I've seen it. You having baby mama drama, and you can't do it no more. You give up. So I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to talk to the women out here. If you're giving your kid's father drama, but you know they're a good man, you know that they are a good father, but for some reason, y'all just can't make it together. I want to say to you, stop being selfish. Stop being selfish. I've seen so many women keep their kids from the father because they want the man, or they don't like the fact that the father has moved on. And me personally, as a single mother, I think that's wrong. So I agree with you, fathers out there. If you having this drama in your life, I'm on your side with that. I can really recall an experience, and I don't want to say the person, but I had a talk with his kid's mom. You know, this is one of my loved ones, and I truly believe to this day that her bitterness of taking this man back and forth to court, and he was a great father to his kids. He loved his kids. I think that really made her kids lose out on a lot, you know. But he kept fighting, and he kept showing up, no matter how stressful it was. And I look at that situation, and I say to myself, you know, if more dads would keep fighting for their kids, you know, when you have all good intentions to be the best that you can be to your kids, to love them and to help them to grow into great human beings, I say keep fighting for your kids, you know, because your presence will make a difference. Trust me, it will make a difference, you know. There are so many ways. I think about another story. My grandpa, again, he just was such an awesome man. He raised so many kids. He stood in a gap for so many kids outside of his own 8 kids, you know. But when I say your presence makes a difference, one of my uncles, you know, when they were young, he used to be in a gang war. And this is the stories that they told me. I was not even born yet. But he used to be in a gang war. As a matter of fact, he was kind of running a little gang back then. He almost died twice, from my knowledge. You know, getting stabbed up and stuff like that. But my grandpa, they said my grandpa would find out where they were so-called gang warring back in those days, and he would show up. And not only would he show up, he would make my uncle and his friends get in a car so that they wouldn't even fight. And then he started taking my uncle to work with him to occupy his time. And I can truly say, as I see, because my grandpa chose to show up and be present, even though it was an inconvenience. He had 8 kids, and this one kid decided that he wanted to do his own thing. But he showed up anyway for him. Now, that same uncle is a pastor. Go figure that. He went from gang warden to a pastor. So, this is what I'm saying about the power as a man that you hold. The power of showing up and standing in the gap. Because my grandpa could have just went and got his kid. But instead, he went and got his kid and other people's kids that was get ready to gang war. He didn't have to do that. We all have a choice to make. Just like I have stood in the gap for many kids as a mother figure. If I can stand in the gap, then you can stand in the gap. You know? And to you fathers that are present, just continue to keep being present. You know? Your children, they're definitely going to appreciate you being present. And if they don't right now, because you know, as kids grow up, sometimes they can get a little shady on us. Just remember when you were young, you know, you wanted to get out there and do certain things. Just remember that and have compassion and understanding with them. Just admit your flaws, you know. When you're present and you see that your kids are having a moment as they're going through their growth spurts, sit down and have a real conversation with them. You know, let them know that you didn't do it in a perfect way neither. You know, give them encouragement. Don't always, even though you're the man, you don't always have to be hard on them. You know, whether you have a daughter or a son. Sometimes just sharing with your kids makes the difference. You know, letting them know that if you had certain things to do over, you would do it this way. So when they're faced with the same situation, they can feel that you're being honest with them. And they could feel like, okay, I don't have to be perfect. My dad wasn't perfect, but yet I want to work towards being perfect because my dad is here giving me his time and letting me know where he messed up and how he wants me to do better. See, your words alone is like a stamp, you know? When you think about some of you men out there listening didn't have a father or didn't have an uncle or didn't have a mentor. So always think about that. Think about how you felt when you were young, how you wanted a father to be present, how you wanted that male figure to be consistent in your life and to help guide you and help you navigate how to do things, how to handle not being able to get on a sports team or how to handle if a girl break your heart, you know, and vice versa. Let your daughter know, look, respect yourself because I'm a man and I have friends and I did things, you know, to women. If you one of those men that just played on women, let your daughter know. That way she could be more equipped on how to be more observant when it comes to the young men talking to her, you know? Little things like that. And really, that's a big thing. And if you are out there playing the field and dealing with a bunch of different women, think about this. What if that was your daughter? Would you want your daughter to be taken advantage of the way you might be taking advantage of women? So you have to set the tone. When you're present, you have to set the tone. If you're with the mom, if you're not with the mom, you have to set the tone so that your kids can see how a relationship is supposed to be. How, whether it's, like I said, whether you're married, whether you're in a, just together, or whether you are separate. The whole thing is your presence and the way you treat their mother, the things you say out your mouth, the way you respect her, whether y'all cool or not, is what the kids observe. And you want to set an example as to when they get older and how they react to the world, to relationships, how they respect themselves. You want to set that example. You want to have those talks, and you want to validate. You want to confirm that they are good people and that they can do anything that they want to do in life as long as they work hard at it. So I know this conversation was, I don't know, when it comes to fathers, because I'm a single mom, I just like to touch on as much as I can so that you can know as a man the importance of being present. And that's it, Whatever role you're playing, whether you're a coach for a team, you're a teacher in a school or college, there are so many kids out there that don't have a father. So for those moments, whether it be an hour every week that they're in your class, whether it be 3 days a week they're practicing the sport with you, be that example that they need to see. Because you might be the only example that they will see on a consistent basis. So I don't want to put pressure on nobody, but we're in this together, and the kids grow up to be adults, just like you are an adult. And them seeing a man, a father figure, on a consistent basis in some type of way, or talking to him in some type of way on a consistent basis, even if it's a text, makes the difference. I'm here to tell you. So I hope you enjoyed the show. And I didn't talk about the books today, but definitely go to adionne-your-dream-pusher website, and you will see what I have coming up next. And I'm still open for emails because I changed up. I just want to see some good stories. That's it. Email me at adionne-your-dream-pusher@gmail.com. Tell me your story. Ask me a question. What topics you want to hear. Tell me how the podcast has helped you, and I will send you a book. Thank you for all the people that's been sharing your stories. It makes me feel good to know that I'm helping you in some type of way with this conversation, with this podcast show. So, yes, this was a touchy conversation, topic today, but I just definitely want to thank you, all the men out there that are standing in a gap, that are handling their responsibilities, And I'm going to leave y'all with this. If you're a man and you have a kid and you're not living life right, get your life right first before you go back or try to be involved in that child's life. Get your life right first. And when I say that, I mean if you're doing illegal things, something that can hurt your kid. So I'm not saying get your money up, but I'm saying get your life right. If you're not living right, that's what I mean. Okay? Always remember, time matters more than money. Always remember that. Time is more valuable than money. So I really hope that I help somebody out here today. This is Adionne, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from yourself, saving you from the world, saving you from some real bullshit. And you are listening to Chronicles-of-Livin-podcast show, the show for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. You know us extraordinary folk doing a damn thing the best way we can. And again, I'm only coming on Sunday at 7 o'clock every Sunday. No more Wednesday. Okay? I love you guys. Until next week, peace. Thank you for listening to Chronicles of Living, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. And if you are pursuing your dreams, I'm proud of you. Because the best part of life is when you decide to live. To keep up with us, please visit chronicles-of-livin-podcast. Until next time, this is Adionne, your dream pusher. I love you guys.